Hello, and welcome back for another episode of Disability Reality Podcast. My name is Melanie Waldman, and I am your host. Today, I have on my dear friend Danny Kurtzman to talk about the release of his feature film called Good Bad Things. I do want to mention, it is currently the Easterseals Disability Film Challenge, if you couldn't tell by all the minisodes on my stream. I am a part of a film called The Deadline, and Danny Kurtzman, who is about to be on this episode, has his very own short film he produced this year called We'll Meet Again, written and produced with him and our friend Steve Way as well. Trigger warning for theirs, there's some mild violence and sharp objects. Also in ours, there's also mild violence and not so sharp objects, but also might be used in a violent sort of way. If you're one of the many who is yet to see Good Bad Things, there are many spoilers ahead. Shh. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this very special episode, very near and dear to all of our hearts. Thanks. Hey, Danny, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me. I know you've been talking about doing this for a minute now, and I'm glad that we found time to do it.
Hell yeah. And I know it's crazy right now in California with what's going on with the fires. I started recording this podcast in December, and now I'm probably going to shift it a little bit by the time this comes out, see a little bit different tone come out of this because so many of y'all are in California, and you're in the San Diego area. Is that right?
I'm in more Orange County, Newport Beach area. Not
Okay.
too far from the fires, but just enough to be safe and also be able to make any type of impact that I can possibly try and do. And just been reaching out to friends and family and everyone. I'm third generation Los Angeles, so all my grandparents, both my parents, my brother and I, all born in LA. Most of my family is still in the Valley, so luckily they all still have their homes. But yeah, lots of them evacuated, lots of them without power. Many friends who have lost their homes and everything. It's just devastating. But in times like these, there's when times we come together and show our true colors, and it's been really beautiful in that way. Just the especially within our community, Melanie, we are very underserved constantly, and it's really been amazing. My community in this world has grown so much over the last year because of this film, and being entrenched in this and being able to meet all the amazing creative individuals in the film industry and the ones that who want more of this type of content. And yeah, it's just really cool to see this last week. They just come out in numbers and in strength, and our communities looked as a societal view that isn't true. Obviously, you and I know that like we are the ones that are always receiving the help, but it's not that's not the truth. We are the ones that come to the calling when it's needed, and we're doing that in numbers on numbers, and it's really really cool. That's honestly like my biggest takeaway last week. So, yes.
Absolutely. That was beautiful, by the way. I mean, I couldn't have said it better that our community, while people think of us as helpless or one way or another, I feel like most of the people that I know who are currently LA residents in LA County, they're the ones who are out there helping and volunteering, and they've got their face masks on and they're sending face masks, the things that you actually need that are going to these resource and help centers. It's just so stunning to see a lot of the outside world does misrepresent us and misunderstand us, where we know the real deal. And I love that you said that this tour of your film has brought to light so much of the community coming out. You and I weren't connected before this, but I'd been in disability film for a while. So I love that your film brought that on. And I love the title, Good Bad Things. It actually reminds me, I don't know if you ever saw the Bill Murray documentary. I forget what it's called. It was the Bill Murray stories or something like that, but he just would like pop up in different communities through the years. And there's this story where he says, things are just things. There's not good and there's not bad. It's just the state of what you address it and the label that you put on it. And that's not a direct quote to Bill Murray, but it's pretty close. And it's so reminiscent of your title. So how did you come up with the title for your film? What kind of influenced that?
Oh man. Yeah, this whole film was a initially a huge collaborative effort between my best friend Shane Stanger and myself, and so he gets not all the credit, but most of the credit in this amazing film that has been created called Good Bad Things. And short stories, they came together very quickly, unlike most films. And we just originally he just threw a name on it, and I'll be honest, the original name was called Roll On.
Oh, okay.
Roll On, and I was just like, it just didn't feel like maybe edgy enough for me or just deep enough for me. It was like very much a blanketed disabled kind of name for a disabled movie that I felt like. And I was like, we gotta just dive into this a little more. He's like, you can whatever ideas you have to bring it to the table. And so I talk about a lot on my journey and my tour on this movie. It's like I've done a lot of work personally on my disability, and I've had great help in that area. One individual specifically, his name is Carson Tuller. He is a large voice in our community. He is a fantastic, beautiful human being, and he has changed my life. And just the methods and ways of being that he has taught me is the title of the movie, and that like our feelings are very important and they're very strong and they should be, like, how do I best say this, considered in everything that we do.
Mm,
So when we it's the one things that we can trust that isn't bias in any way, shape, or form. And when we do get those, like, we call them good bad things, but when we get those feelings that make us feel a little off or weird or just like, like, I don't know about this, don't be scared about it. Don't run away from it. Don't bury it. You dive into it and you figure out, like, why is this thing what it is, and because it's you, ultimately, because there's no one controls your feelings and can cause them other than your body and yourself and your heart and your mind. So like if your body is telling you this, there's a reason for it. So you dive into it, and usually it results in a good thing, which you discover and you improve, you make an impact, you I don't know, just become better for yourself and for everyone around you. And so that's kind of what the character does in this movie constantly. And I think as a community and society, it's something that we all kind of experience and do. And I think it's finally time to stop letting society dictate our feelings and
mhm.
who we are, and start listening to our own feelings and start kind of getting a little dirty and the results are going to be good, ultimately, and that's kind of where that title came up with.
I love that. I think that it's so important when we come across adversities like that to process. And those of us who don't, it really does get kept in our bodies, especially when I know myself, I have Ehlers-Danlos. When my muscles are tense, it's usually because there's something tense in my life or I'm holding on to something that I know I don't need. So the fact that you talk about processing those feelings is so valid and well heard. And you, as an advocate, I know that you just received the Media Access Award for Best Actor. Is that right?
I did. I was
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was
Yeah.
beyond grateful. Wasn't expecting. Like I went into this just making a movie with my best friend, and I've never acted before or considered doing anything to this level of a lead role in a featured film that would go on and do a successful run and have an amazing theatrical and going to be available on all platforms in 3 weeks. It's a wild ride. Um,
Yes.
yeah, February 4th, literally less than a year ago. You're talking about going to Sundance, Melanie. Like
Yeah.
this is a year ago. About now, we were world premiering at Slam Dance in Park City. So like this is a lot's happened in a year, and it was just festivals, premiering, winning awards. Wasn't even like really in my thoughts in doing this whole thing, and that's what the beautifulness of this journey leading into getting tremendous award, which was the Media Access Christopher Lee's Award, where, um, yeah, just that was a very, very special night. And I just beyond grateful to be receiving that. And then, yeah, within 3 weeks, we will be available on all rental and purchase platforms, literally Amazon,
Yes.
Apple, Fandango, or mainly the US will be able to finally like it feels doesn't it feel like the movie's been out this whole I just
It
like
really
feel like
does.
everyone has seen it, but like ultimately like nobody's seen the movie except for, our diehards, just huge supporters who went to the theatrical, who rented it on that digital weekend that we had to raise money for those foundations. But ultimately, yeah, we will finally have it available. You know what? You're honestly like we know how this world works now. When someone makes a movie, they hopefully end up in theaters, which
Mhm.
ultimately we know we can be available in the homes, which ultimately in today's world we know hopefully if this movie's successful and liked, will be like on a streamer eventually. And so thankfully we have a movie that has already got those high acclaims and the streamers are interested and yes, of course. We this movie will be available on a streamer at some point in its future because the movie's good and people like it.
Hell yeah.
And why would a streamer not want to have this movie
Let's
on their
fucking go.
platform? And in terms of our community, that's the goal. Like, yeah, we need our community to come out in numbers to support this movie because ultimately Hollywood looks at dollars and cents and to make more authentic content, we need this movie. We want this movie to be successful because that's kind of the proof in the pudding.
Yeah.
And but it's going to be successful in that, and it's going to be successful in streaming. But yeah, our ask in the next couple of weeks is we come out in numbers, which I know this community is very capable of doing, and just blowing this thing up to the highest level we can think about. So there can be more and more and more of this.
That's fantastic. So I'm so excited to be able to watch you in my pocket, watch you on my TV, watch you on my laptop, all of the platforms where you can access internet essentially in the US. You can see Good Bad Things coming up very soon. I actually got to go to the AMC release. It was a limited run. I think it was what, 2 days, I believe, but I was actually on my way to a show at QVC and there wasn't a theater nearby, but you have to go through Philadelphia to get from where I am up to QVC. So I was in the Philadelphia showing by myself. And I had a lot of experiences per my acquiring my disability in seeing your film that relate a lot back to my story. And I think that, there's going to be some light spoilers ahead of this, but one of my favorite point of views that you talk about and showed was the relationship that your character had with the father figure. And that parental caretaking relationship, I think, is something that isn't very often explored. When that happened, I was brought to tears fully because when I teach adaptive yoga, I actually bring in the caretakers and caregivers and say, hey, like, this is your break too. It's a community thing, right? Like with the fires and with showing up, it's all about community at the end of the day. Disability in film, all of these films, your film is helping push that envelope. And the fact that, by the time it's up on streaming, if you put in disability as a subject, I know a lot of these platforms have that, like horror and comedy disability studies or minority studies, that's going to be there, and that's such a beautiful thing. So I'm very, very happy for your team, and congratulations on all your success there. I want to know more about Danny, the actor and writer. I know that you went through the writing process and this was one of your first films you acted in. Had you written for film or produced before this? No. Okay, yeah, I definitely want to talk about that a little bit because I'm somebody who's done short film and I'm really familiar with getting a film done in 1 week. But you had enough time to work on this and make it a feature film, which is a massive, massive achievement. If you could talk about maybe what was the process of going from writing to the sales part of that.
So man, yeah, I got my like just hyper quick masterclass of film and TV and industry learning. You know, and again, I didn't go into this with any of those intentions and like desire. Like it's a beautiful thing, but like yeah, I didn't go into this thinking I was going to write a movie with my best friend or be this lead in every scene of this movie, then become a producer and then take it on this whole marketing festival distribution acquiring journey. And like you realize, you know, like there's so many steps and like the reason we love this industry so much and we love this art so much is because it's the most difficult art to make, in my opinion. It doesn't
Yeah.
take like an artist and a painter can sit in their room and have a canvas and create art. And I'm not trying to devalue that, but that just is within their control to do that. Within film, and then we've seen this, it is a community, it's a family. There's so many hands and there's so much that goes into the journey of the final product so that art can be shared and make the impact that we want to make it. And that's my like craziest takeaway from this whole thing was like it there's just so much beauty that goes into all this stuff. And I'm not a writer per se before this or an actor. But I want to now. I can't wait for my next acting role. Writing though, like I lean on Steve and Shane for most of that writing stuff. I think I was able or I listen, like we advocate for authentic representation in film and television. And the only way that happens is individuals like Shane asking the right questions and welcoming authentic input in our stories. And that was my writing capabilities with this. I didn't come in and write a script. I came in and gave our voice in the script. And that is something I do want to continue to do. And it's not even a choice. If you are a actor, if you are any involvement in this industry right now, you got to inject your authentic voice in anything. And even when you get cold, auditioned, casted in something,
Yeah.
if you feel something isn't authentic and real, you gotta inject that, whether it's through open ears or not open ears. You gotta do that because if not, we're not progressing, we're regressing. And so that's like what that was my writing impact to this thing was like I had a partner and a best friend that was like, I can't write these disabled lines and these disabled themes without you, so
Oh
what
my
are
God.
they? And then he took them and turned them into good bad things.
I
And
have chills.
yeah, so and then luckily I was just able to nail those lines and those scenes and do what I was doing with it. And then yeah, after the fact, like you're right. Then we created something. It was special. It had the impact it has. And then I also Shane came in again, and he was just like, "This movie can't see the audience in the level and the light it deserves without authentic people leading this. So what do you want to do with this, Danny?" And so immediately we thought about, hey, we got to bring on an executive producer. That's what happens with these things. That was a new
Yeah.
learning thing. And so we were throwing around crazy names. And Shane's like, what do you think? And immediately I was like, yo, there's this guy, his name's Steve Way. He was on the show on me. He doesn't fucking know me. Like I DM him once in a while and he like gives me fire emojis or whatever. I think I can get in front of him. I don't know if I'm
Aw.
gonna get a response, but like something about me feels like with this film and him, we got something. And he's like, cool, go for it. Like like that's just the support I got from Shane. He could have shut that down immediately, but he
Yeah.
believed in my authentic voice. And this movie would never have done what it did in 2024 without the addition of Steve. Like plain and simple. Shane and
Ugh.
I would say that, like, we added an all star in that stage, and like, and that's why like Shane initiated this. He added me to it. We added Brett and Jess, like we had a crazy awesome post and with all the music and all the visuals and VFX, and then we added Steve to the mix. And then later we added Annalisa Shoemaker. And Steve and I went, and Shane will also say that was like an insane level up with theatrical and
Huge.
getting music box on the board. So like we just got so, I say lucky, but like we kept finding the right people. And when I keep saying, and then after ending Annalisa, we had Shane and Hannah Burkow. And when I say all these names, Steve is disabled, Annalisa is disabled, Shane Burkow and Hannah Burkow are interabled, disabled relationship couple. So, like, every one of these names that had an impact in the success of this movie came from us.
You had an all-star team behind this film, and
Yeah.
you even had a friend of mine, Kurt Yeager, and I
Yeah.
know that
It's like,
once you shout out to Kurt, but you also did your screening in LA, and then Rami came in, and then you had Sean Heater, she led a Q&A. Like, the people who supported this film, the reach was far and wide. I know even me, like I was just promoting this film from day one, and I still will when it goes for
mm,
streaming because it's so beautiful and touches so close to home. And you're right, that authentic perspective is something that we don't get. And it was very smart to use you as a tool because so often, I know for me, like having a career in this, people with disabilities aren't often asked for their input. Sometimes it's just like, well, you're the character who lost her arm. That's it. Go in the background, And there really isn't much more than that. They don't want to know these things. So the fact that we can put pen to paper, and you even in this first situation where this is one of your first films that you're making, it's an incredible feat. And I think that you should be very proud of yourself because I'm proud of your team. I think it turned out so beautifully. And I know my mom watched it. Now I'm going to have my dad watch it. So this will be the third time that I will watch it once it comes out. And for my parents too, like we went through the caregiver caretaker journey together. So I think that that's something that they're really going to look for in this. I think that there are so many people in our community, we're 20% of the population. But I have this saying that, there's no way that you're not impacted by disability at some point in your life. Somebody in your life is old, somebody in your life loses, I don't know, a limb like I did. So there's so many different scenarios where disability comes into our lives, and processing that I think is something that is really good to encourage. So that's what's beautiful about this film for me is that we don't talk about processing adversity, and disability grief is what I saw somebody put it as before. But I've been through therapy and learned about loss of previous life, loss of former life, and then somebody brought up disability grief. And I was like, well, that's a blanket statement for all of it. And that's
right.
perfect. That's really what a lot of this film is talking about. I mean, you also have some really vulnerable moments in this script, which I thought was cherry on top. This whole podcast is about disability intimacy and forwarding that as well. There was a little bit of that in there. Plus, you were nude at one point in photography. So that also was another portion of this. And I love that at the LA screening, you did like a little art show, right? Was that right?
Yeah,
So
we
cool.
did and featured a lot of that. That was special. And then, yeah, there's just so many elements that were on. It wasn't planned. It wasn't like done with like complete purpose. We just did it the way we thought we should do this thing, and it turned out amazing. And yeah, we've had so many all stars added to the team, and now we're approaching the major leagues right now, where it really
Hell
does
yeah.
matter. And like the next addition to this amazing journey that we've been on is the community. And like I don't like you know yeah, asking or doing that stuff, but like ultimately, like if our community was able to invest in a project and a group of individuals to not just make this singular thing something, but more happen, it's this
Hmm.
team. And I know and promise that if we do get behind this film and make it what we ultimately want to make it, it's not just solely about the dollars and cents, but
Right.
it's going to be on myself, and I know I'm speaking for Steve and Shane, Annalisa, Kurt, and Shane, and Burkout, and everyone that we are not going to make this the last. It's going to be another and another and another, and we're going to keep leveling up and make more good bad things stuff happen, and
Yes.
it's not going to end here. But we do have a really awesome opportunity in the next couple months to allow the world to see us through, I'm grateful enough to say, our film. And so, like, let's
Oh.
fucking go. Let's blow this shit up.
Let's
Whether
do
it's going to
it.
rent it for your dad or buying it just so it sits on your Prime for the rest of the world, or just waiting for it to hit a streamer and making sure we do everything to get sure that's number one movie on that platform. Like, I don't care what it is, but like, let's just do it, and whatever I can do to support and help to make that happen. Like, find me on
Yeah.
Instagram, blow me up. We're down to support. Steve and I are just getting our hands dirty and grassroots seeing the fuck out of this thing because that's what it's going to take. There is no playbook, and you get this. Like, there is no
Right.
playbook right now. And we're just trying to figure it out. But I hope this
I feel
kind of
like,
like
yeah, when there is a
fills a
playbook,
chapter. Yeah, I
yeah.
hope this like at least gives a chapter of the playbook for all future films and things that we want to do as a community, so that we know that like it is possible.
Oh my God, absolutely. Let's fucking go. That is such a great way to put it. And all of these things, you did say your Instagram. Do you want to go ahead and share your handle?
Yeah, my Instagram is just my name at Danny Kurtzman. It's pretty easy. You can just when you're on I Good Bad Things Film, I'm tagged in most of that stuff. Yeah, no, I hit up the amazing Steve Way, and he'll give you my
Yes.
Instagram. But yeah, you can pretty much find me somewhere. I don't have that many followers, and no, no blue check yet,
Boost the
but
following.
whatever
Yes.
that means. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, that's been cool too with this whole process. Is I have been getting a lot of DMs, and I have been getting a lot of people reaching out and just like just sharing what their feels are about this movie, and that's just the most rewarding thing you can do when you make something, is to like
Absolutely.
hear not just like a singular impact constantly, but like the diversity of the impacts has been fucking wild. It's been so cool, just like you said, whether it's like your able-bodied parent to an elderly person to someone who doesn't ever even known anybody with a disability to someone who's different limb to someone who is physically disabled mentally, just everything across the spectrum has
Mhm.
been impacted, and just so special.
It's oh my gosh, stronger together, and that value of having that feedback, there is no price tag on that. You cannot. It is the best kind of way to find out not only what works and what doesn't work, but what people are the most receptive to, and then put that into and implement it in your future work. I think that that is my favorite thing about filmmaking, I think. And Steve has been a part of one of my films before, and same thing, just DM'd him, was like, do you want to do this? Hell yes. So to not be afraid of getting in your own way, I think, is a big part of this too. Like, if you want something, go ask for it, because nobody else is going to fucking give it to you. Like, you have to demand these things. And I think you
Yeah,
guys are doing a fantastic job of that. Thank
go
you.
back to good bad things. I had a gut feeling that Steve being involved in this film was what it needed, and so I threw a hail mary. Like, you gotta start trusting our feelings. We really gotta lean into those things, and I feel like we do share this idea and feeling that like things aren't the way we want them to be right now, but the
Mhm.
time is now, and we gotta get shit going, and we all share that. So like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not time to run and hide. It's time to like throw those Hail Marys and DM Steve and do all this stuff. So like everyone DM Steve who listens to this, by the way. Just send him an
I'll
emoji or
second that.
something. Yeah. But yeah, that's just kind of where my feelings are right now with this whole thing. And yeah, beyond excited what's gonna happen next couple weeks once the film is actually available, because again, it feels like it's been out, it hasn't. Going to movie theaters is not something that honestly, it's also not the most accessible thing to do. Movie theaters aren't
Mhm.
accessible. So like,
Correct.
okay, cool, but we made a splash. Like your theater you went to wasn't fully packed, but I can confidently say that we had probably 10 fully sold out theaters.
Hell yeah.
Fully sold out
Hell yeah.
theaters that didn't have an empty seat or wheelchair space in the whole entire place. And
Mine was
so
pretty
like
full. There was a good amount of people.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
like that, and then we did it again with the virtual. But we're about to do it again, and then will be another one for streaming, and then will be another one for another thing. So like, let's just keep this going.
Nonstop. I amen to that. Thank you so much for being here, Danny. Again, I appreciate you coming on. And if there's any organizations that you can think of per the fires that you want to think of, I'll tag it in the comments after this so people can see that. I know that there is now a master list of people who are disabled in need. GoFundMe's. I personally think GoFundMe's are the best way. Go and find the ones that aren't paid for enough. But are there any organizations you want to shout out? Or
No,
just say bye?
definitely there is that Google Sheets that's going around
Mhm.
within our community that some amazing volunteers have been creating, and it's unfortunately a large list of names and families with a
Yeah.
large list of GoFundMe's with a hefty amount of finances that are needing to be raised so that
Yeah.
they finally again we you like as a disabled person we know that the world isn't accessible for us but
Mhm.
our homes are our safe space, and when that is taken from us, how devastating and detrimental that is, because
Yeah.
what do you do with that? You spend so much of your time and energy to create this space where you are independent and fully yourself. And when an unnatural thing like a fire takes that away from you, they like we gotta figure out how to get them back to that place. And yeah, it's gonna come out with we need to raise money. We need to fill those GoFundmes. I'm
Yes.
working on a couple of things right now alongside of the movie and things like that. There's a lot that we're trying to figure out. But yeah, the goal is that if anybody has anything to spare, or anyone that they connect them to raise money, let's just do this.
Yes. And support the disabled community because overall, like you said, losing things when your home is customized for you, being disabled, period, is not cheap. Like we, no way, Jose. It ain't cheap whatsoever. And then to lose those things that are so important to your day to day living on top of that, I could not imagine. So my heart is with those who have lost. And I really appreciate your time, Danny. Thank you so much again for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And go see Good Bad Things ASAP. Buy it, rent it, download it, put it on a streamer, all of the above.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The producing and video editing for Disability Reality Podcast is done by Melanie Waldman. Sound engineering by Canadian and Silly Goose, Jack Thomas. Disability Reality is a SAG-AFTRA affiliated podcast.